Jackie Mack saying that there are some NBA owners out there, they're investing millions of dollars in these guys, that they would like access to the mental health files of the players. She also added that an Eastern Conference coach said, I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can, but I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist, and sometimes I'm asked to be. So this is where I think the story gets interesting, because I'm so happy to see these big name superstars coming out and telling their stories, because it is something that affects so many of us, but most people think maybe they're alone and it's just something special to them, and then you see these guys. But now we start to get in this gray area if a team wants access. What is your reaction when you hear that?
You know, that's a complicated one, and I don't really know. I've said many times, I'm a patient, I'm not a doctor, so I don't fully understand. Again, I've made no secret of the fact that I've been in therapy 30 years, and it has done wonders for me and many people that I know. So, but I don't know the specifics of that. I'm just thinking logically now, and this is one of those, I'm always hesitant because someone will tell me, Greeny, you realize you're not thinking of X, and I'll realize I'm wrong. But the first thought that jumps to my mind is they are legitimate medical conditions. And I had not even seen these stories yesterday. I don't know why I didn't until you mentioned them in the meeting, but I read it in its entirety just an hour ago, and it's a phenomenal story that Jackie McMullen does here, and Kevin Love. And as you say, not only is it good to see big stars in the middle of this, but it's good to see professional athletes in this conversation, because no one is projected in other people's minds to be tougher than the pro athletes. They're out there, they're physically tough. We expect them to be mentally tough, and there's nothing untough about suffering from some sort of mental illness. It is not a sign of weakness. It is like any other medical condition. As far as whether or not teams should be, the medical records of that sort should be available to teams, the only answer I can really give you is, I think all medical records are available, right? They can look into a guy's shoulder, they can look into a guy's knee. I don't know if it's reasonable or unreasonable for them to be able to look at records of that sort or not, but I'm very much open to someone telling me, Greeny, there's an obvious answer, and it's X, Y, or Z. I don't know what it is.
I think, you know, and I'm just speaking on just the sport of football. You know, a lot of guys view themselves as gladiators, and a lot of what goes into the play of football is from the neck up. You hear the terms imposing your will, you know, and the thing that I think a lot of guys will worry about is, man, if executives, front office people, you know, if they have these records, or if you hear this talk about, oh man, this guy might, you know, he might be bipolar, depressed or anything like that, is this guy tough enough? Because I think one thing about the NFL is, I think the NFL is probably maybe the least most progressive league as far as that goes. So you have to worry as a player, would the league or a team hold that against me if I come forward and say, you know what, I got an issue in this manner that I need addressed. But I will applaud the Cleveland Browns, Josh Gordon, for how they went about their business. Josh Gordon clearly said, you know what, I need to take care of some things as far as my mental health is concerned before I step foot on the football field, and the Cleveland Browns said, you know what, take as much time as you need.
So this is, and that's why I say this is a gray area, because it is a medical file, and those are all accessible to owners and GMs. I think where this gets tricky is when an ankle is broken, an ankle is broken. We're not gonna argue that. We have the pictures, that's what it is. When it comes to mental health, there are a lot of people that still don't understand what it is. They may not accept that it's an actual medical condition. I mean, I love my dad, but I still don't think he understands, as a person who suffers from depression, that it's not something I choose to suffer from. I don't wake up and say, let's do this. There are people that don't get that yet. And I think what Kevin Love and DeMar DeRozan and Paul Pierce are doing is they're educating a lot of people, and part of the group that they're educating are the GMs and owners. And this is the tricky part, where they're learning in real time as this is all happening. Well, it's tricky to me.
I'm looking at this quote from this Eastern Conference coach. I'm trying to be as sensitive as I can, but I'm not a doctor or a psychiatrist. We never hear them say that when it's about a knee, right?
Exactly.
Because there are doctors. He's not a doctor when a player is coming back from any other injury either. And I'm not trying to, I don't even know who this is, obviously. And I'm not trying to be critical of this person, because there is an inexact quality to this. You don't always know exactly how it's going to react. Like, I was reading articles this morning to make a comparison about Carson Wentz, and they're talking about how, well, 9 months seems like a reasonable amount of time to recover from the specific injury that Carson Wentz had. Okay, I get it. There is medical science that sends you in that direction. There isn't that kind of exact cause and effect data or understanding of or information relating to mental illness of the sort that we're discussing here. Well, if you give him this medication, he'll react
Right.
exactly this way, and this is how it will impact his ability to play or otherwise. They don't really know that sort of thing. So, look, it is the fact that it is on the table, that it's being discussed, is in and of itself a good thing. And there's Kevin Love and there's Brandon Marshall and there's DeMar DeRozan and a lot of other big-name athletes of all sorts that are coming out and talking about this and making it something people are not trying to hide. So that in and of itself is a terrific thing. But there's a long way to go before anyone fully understands the impact that this stuff has in professional sports and otherwise. And until then, it will continue to be something people dance around. But to your point about football players, I agree. I think there is this notion, if there are NFL teams that are concerned that a guy is too interested in dinosaurs, that we may not want to draft him with a first pick in the draft because he has other interests besides football, that they will have serious questions about this. And that's why a lot of times people will be hesitant to talk about it.
Absolutely. You don't ever want to be, I guess, boxed in as mentally weak.
Right.
And that's where the game of football is. And, Josh Gordon is one of the, you need and that's the thing about this whole thing is you need big names to come forward. I think that really helps the cause in this situation.
Huge names coming forward, and that in any cause, that is normally how you start to open the doors the fastest.